Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda and Barker Kia.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bayou Time Sports. We head into week 7 of the high school football slate this weekend. Hope that you could go out and support some of these kids as, again, they're working hard. No matter what their records are, they're working extremely hard, and they certainly deserve your support. Let's take a look at the schedule. Lutcher going to be at E.D. White. That game, obviously, in Thibodaux at Pelche Stadium. That's a big one in District 8-4A. Morgan City is going to be in Berg. They'll be taking on South Terrebonne. Those two teams struggling, so something's got to give in that one. Ellender, who's been playing better of late, going to be at Vanderbilt Catholic. Vanderbilt is the only undefeated team in our area, and they'll be in the luxury, of Buddy Marcella Stadium this Friday night. South Lafourche is going to be at Assumption. That's a big one. Assumption's starting to get some things together. They're actually 2-1 in district, and South Lafourche has had to play E.D. White and Vanderbilt the last couple of games, so they're trying to get back in the win column. Terrebonne going to be at East St. John. Terrebonne now gets to breathe just a little bit. They've had a gauntlet of a schedule, but now it's games that on paper are a little bit manageable for the Tigers. Thibodaux going to be at H.L. Bourgeois. That is a huge rival game as they share a border for their zone attendance. That's going to be a lot of fun. That'll be at Tom B. Smith Stadium. Hahnville going to be at Central Lafourche. Central Lafourche had a tough loss this past week to a team that was winless, East St. John's, so the Trojans looking to get better, quite honestly. Destrehan's traveling up to Shreveport to take on Captain Shreve. That's an odd non-district playing date to go all the way up to Shreveport. Hanson Memorial going to be at CCA as CCA starts their district slate. Houma Christian going to be at a very good Lauraville team. Houma Christian struggling, and Lauraville's good, folks. Erath's going to be at Berwick. Berwick struggling just a little bit. Erath, a pretty good program. And finally, Belle Chase is going to be at winless Patterson. Patterson trying to get some things going. So there is your slate. Let's take a look at PowerPoint rankings because they become extremely important. In Division I, non-select, we have a host of teams that would be in the playoffs if it all ended now. Terrebonne, we go in at number 7. Hahnville, we go in at number 14. Thibodaux, we go in at number 15, and Destrehan, we go in at number 16. Then you go down just a little bit to 21, and you would have South Lafourche. So there would be a lot of teams from our area who would be in the playoffs, and quite honestly, I don't think those 5 teams are going to fall out of that bracket. It's a little interesting when you look down and you see H.L. Bourgeois at 29. They have to fight a little bit to get into it, and they can. But they have a tough schedule coming up. You want to be inside the 28 when you're talking about non-select football. East St. John and Central Lafourche are going to have a bigger hole to dig themselves out of. I don't know if they could get in. As they sit down there, you see at number 34 and number 36. Let's move on to Division II, non-select. So these are public schools in nature. At number 10, you have Lutcher, and Lutcher's been climbing. Now, they have a tough one against E.D. White this week, but they are climbing. They're sitting at number 10. South Terrebonne, on the other hand, has been falling. At one time, they were at number 3. They're all the way down to number 19. They need to get some wins together, and they have that opportunity against Morgan City. I don't know how many PowerPoints that would get you because Morgan City's struggling. As you see, they're way down at number 34. Assumption's right on the bubble. Assumption at number 26 with a chance of getting in. Again, they have a big one against South Lafourche this Friday night. Unfortunately for Ellender and Morgan City, they have a lot of distance to make up to get into the playoffs. It's going to be tough for those two teams going forward. Let's move on to Division II Select. And in Division II Select, which again is sort of our private schools from the area, we have 2 schools that are going to be in quite easily. As a matter of fact, I think they're probably both going to have byes in the first round. Vanderbilt Catholic is sitting at number 3. Again, they are undefeated. And I got to tell you, I think Vanderbilt could play with anybody up there at the top. Loyola Prep from the north part of the state just doesn't compete well with the southern part of the state. Madison Prep is very athletic. But I do believe that Vanderbilt, St. Charles Catholic, Shaw University, and E.D. White are the best teams in that particular district. There you see E.D. White is at number 10, and that's because they started off the year 0-3 against that schedule that's almost unbelievable that they started out the schedule with. Let's move on. Let's go to Division III, and unfortunately, Houma Christian, not much of a chance to get into the bracket. They sit, as it stands right now, at 1-5. They are number 32, and in select football, you got to be in the top 24, maybe a little bit too much distance to make up for the Warriors. And finally, a look at Division IV select, and I think we'll have two teams that are going to get in fairly easy. That would be number 12, Covenant Christian, and number 20, Central Catholic. As a matter of fact, Central Catholic is sort of on the rise, and Covenant Christian has been playing well of late. I think they'll stay up there. Covenant Christian is probably going to be at home in the playoffs in their first game. Central Catholic's got a little distance to make up, but remember, they have Covenant Christian on their schedule a little bit later on, and they probably can make up a little bit of that distance. Hanson is going to be out, and if you want to get a game in and you don't know what game to go to, there's three really big games in our area that I think are worth going to check out. H.L. Bourgeois taking on the Thibodeau team is going to be a big one for sure. Lutcher taking on E.D. White is going to be a big one. And probably, you know, if you're looking for that other game that is going to be really competitive, South Lafourche and Assumption. Those are going to have big ramifications when it's all said and done. Got to take a break. Going to be back right after these commercial messages.
This segment was brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda and Barker Kia.